Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580, download the app.
Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and our creator, Gina Towns, is producing our show today, expecting Bobby Lewis from the Rainbow Push Coalition to join us in the first hour. And in the second hour, Bob Franklin will be joining us from Emory Theological Seminary. I understand that Bob Franklin is actually now with us, and that Bobby Lewis will be joining us in the second hour. But I'm particularly grateful that Dr. Robert Franklin is here with us in this space, in this time. And just before I bring him on, I want to opine for a moment, because I've been reading a number of articles about seminaries closing and restructuring, not receiving students. And I wanted to offer some initial thoughts before we begin our conversation with Dr. Franklin, probably just after the break. I write, from the sacred to the secular. Redefining ministry from the sacred to the secular space is not easy, but I do believe our theological institutions would benefit if it gave the idea some consideration. Why did my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, for more than 6 decades, host a Saturday morning forum and not a Sunday morning service? Jackson's theological experiment sought to harmonize the sacred and the secular. To harmonize means to bring different elements into a consistent, pleasing, or coordinated whole, usually to create music, but for Jackson, to create the energy for social justice action without competing with the sacred on Sunday morning. When Jackson met King in Selma in 1965, Jackson was a seminary student, and it was King who convinced Jackson that he could teach him, quote, more than any seminary ever could, if Jackson would follow King's method and experiment. My father was intrigued and would complete his seminary education at the urging of Dr. Susan Thistlethwaite and my encouragement decades later. By then, however, Reverend Jackson was a serious spiritual, cultural, social, and political force that had to be dealt with. The 47th President of the United States referred to him as a force of nature, and 3 others, including his close and dear friend William Jefferson Clinton, attended his obsequies. Jackson's ministry was defined by his life, not by his degree or his political campaigns. These were just days and some of the most momentous events on the journey. Hence, Jackson's ministry defined ministry outside of the box of the sacred and into the secular. Outside of the sacred, Jackson, if properly recorded by Guinness Book, would have some amazing accomplishments. First, his ministry registered more voters than any ministry in American history while in his prime. Secondly, his ministry garnered more votes than any preacher in American history. Leadership by election is different than leadership by appointment or anointment. There is a validation of message from the people, from their contemporaneous needs with the vote. Imagine Moses preaching something other than the end of slavery. Sermons may be divinely inspired, but there's no way to validate that the message meets all of the people's needs without the vote. To meet the people's needs requires a budget that comes from taxation and through an organized government. Thirdly, his ministry changed the direction of cities, counties, states, played a significant role in the election of congressmen, senators, presidents for many decades, including inspiring the first African-American president whose presidency delivered the Affordable Care Act. It is one thing for the pastor and the staff of a church to have a healthcare plan. It's another thing to ensure that all members of the congregation are covered by a policy and a plan. Jesse saw and sought to solve that problem. He also decided to play a role in solving the problem for everybody and not the impossible task of solving the problem one church at a time. Hence, Jesse Jackson defined ministry in the public square, the secular space. Many seminaries are struggling to survive, including my alma mater. However, if Jackson's experiment is taken seriously, harmonizing the sacred and the secular into a dangling discord of justice, peace, love, mercy, redemption, and forgiveness, these institutions might find futures in the secular space with future public officials, candidates, would-be candidates, wannabe candidates, public servants, campaign operatives, political consultants who desire to run for public office by defining and earning the public's trust as ministry and not as a game or a sport. As a former member of Congress, the sacred chamber of the People's House was a form of sacred and secular service for me. The opportunity to speak on the floor of the Congress was my pulpit. Taxing, the Ways and Means Committee, was a form of tithes and offering for the public good. Funding healthcare was healing the sick. Funding SNAP programs was feeding the hungry. Opposing the death penalty was stopping modern forms of crucifixion. Pardoning offenders after their debt to society was paid in full was designed, quote, to stop crowds from throwing rocks at prostitutes and everyone else who paid their debt to society, end quote. While incarcerated, I made a discovery in the Constitution that James Madison and Alexander Hamilton called the finger of God. It is a word construction in the Constitution that the first 6 presidents of the United States were aware of. It was later lost to time and understanding. I believe Abraham Lincoln found it and Dr. King understood it. I believe all of these men understood its important function for shepherding our society. In fact, it's placed in the Constitution as a function, and that may be why people cannot see it. This evidence is documented by multiple founders and architects of our republic, but certainly by Madison and Hamilton. I've shown this experiment across the country. This little discovery is so magnificent in its scope that it would redefine the sacred and the secular space. I showed this compelling experiment to anyone who would listen. My father and I never really ever talked about his experiment. Jesse Jackson did not wait or count on people to come hear him on Sunday morning. He went to where people were and he met them on strange roads and some of the oddest places. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, one of my mentors and an extraordinary man is joining us, Reverend Dr. Franklin will be with us in just a moment. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays, and our creator is joining us today, along with Dr. Robert Franklin. Gina Towns is the president and CEO of 519 Productions and the executive producer, creative director, and program director for the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She's also the host of Reflectivity on our weekly series, Fat Meat Fridays. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, Jesse. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. I do hear this echo, however. Okay. And also joining us is Dr. Robert M. Franklin Jr., distinguished American theologian, author, and academic, currently serving as the James T. and Berta T. Rainey Professor of Moral Leadership at Emory University's Candler School of Theology. He's a noted expert on ethical leadership, the Black church, and social ethics, previously serving as the 10th president of Morehouse College from 2007 to 2012. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Franklin? Okay, I can't hear Dr. Franklin right now at this moment. Dr. Franklin? Can you hear me, sir? Dr. Franklin's expertise is in moral leadership. And in this hour, I want to try and strike the balance between the sacred and the secular. And that is particularly important because those of us who engage in social justice, and there are plenty, we operate from a space of faith. We operate from a space that what we are doing is morally correct, that we summon from that faith the courage and the character to do what is right in the face of what we feel. And where that energy comes from is an internal spiritual force that guides our activity. It literally is the gasoline to our ambition, that which we are attempting to accomplish and that which we are attempting to do. Now, don't get me wrong, in the secular space, particularly in the progressive secular space, there are plenty of do-gooders, people who are just fighting to make the environment better, and their energy comes from a space. There are people who are fighting against racism, and that energy comes from a space. There are people who are fighting for better schools, and the energy comes from that space. There are any number of categories that one might define as social justice work and activity, but the sustaining force for many of us, and it doesn't have to be all of us, but for many of us, is deeply rooted in our faith. That is what we believe, whether it is Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, agnosticism, which may or may not be tied to the one God religions, but within us is something that gives us the motivating energy, the gasoline, to continue forward in spite of it all. And I've been critiquing my father for a very long time to figure out what was it that essentially also made him tick. I look for it in Reverend Al Sharpton. I look for it in Reverend William Barber. I look for it in those of us like Dr. Cornel West, whose understanding of the Testaments and understandings of the Bible and moral courage and moral authority have led him scholastically to be one of the great scholars on earth, but not just a scholar, an activist scholar who believes in something. Michael Eric Dyson is a minister, and yet he manages every single day to muster up prophetic and courageous thought that is contemporary, that is relevant, that isn't one book or one sermon specific, but it comes from a space and an energy space that is driven by what we believe. I asked my father a long time ago what the key to giving a good speech was, and I thought he was going to share with me some kind of 3-point outline. He did not. Dad said the key to giving a great speech is to believe it. If you believe what you're talking about, in that space is the opportunity to speak without an outline, to be able to organize one's thoughts and be able to project one's thoughts, one's feelings in an authentic way is tied to faith. So I wake up the other day and I read an article in the Chicago Tribune that my alma mater, Chicago Theological Seminary, also my father's alma mater, is no longer admitting students and in the process of a financial reorganization. Increasingly, seminaries around the country are struggling to find students, and churches are struggling to find pastors, and some churches are struggling to find congregants. And in this, I've asked Dr. Robert Franklin, who has been preaching for decades and has taught hundreds, maybe thousands of students, and certainly graduated thousands of them as the former president of Morehouse College, to join me, and we can, for an opportunity to have a conversation about the sacred and the secular space. Even the producer of our show, Gina Towns, is a graduate of Princeton Theological Seminary, and she understands the bridge and the road that we try to cross. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm delighted to be with you both, and I hope you can hear me okay. Sorry for the technical problem.
Not a problem at all. Dr. Franklin, I was reading an interesting article the other day about seminaries struggling to reorganize themselves as if there's no shortage of no king's marches. There's no shortage of people protesting in the name of Jesus. But what is it about seminary education that our leadership or the next generation of leadership is choosing a direct action path that comes before scholarship? Dr. Franklin.
I hope that the philanthropic community will pay closer attention to this crisis of financial support for graduate theological education. It was precisely that kind of intellectual and character formation that Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays of Morehouse experienced, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. experienced, that the Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson experienced. And it is absolutely essential. And yet, theological seminaries in the United States have not done a very good job of telling their story, of getting the attention of the public. And on top of that, we've witnessed a decline of traditional denominational Christianity in this country. And so the big denominations back in the 50s and 60s that could fund graduate seminary education are no longer able to do so. So we're in a real bind. The precise kind of leadership that our democracy needs at this time, and I love the way you were interpreting and contextualizing Reverend Jesse Jackson's impact and legacy, that harmonizing sacred and secular is a wonderful metaphor for what our seminaries do on their best days. But they're struggling for basic financial support. We don't have advocates, we don't have rich graduates, and we don't have the public's trust and investment. I like the way you talked about trust. So that's the crisis of this moment. And it would be a tragedy for an esteemed national institution like Chicago Theological Seminary to experience a crisis that reduces its capacity to educate and form the next generation of leaders. So memo to the wealthy donors out there that are supporting all sorts of terrific programs. Please invest in America's theological seminaries. There are only a couple hundred of them. And if you look at some of the best of them, like Chicago Theological Seminary, they deserve public support.
Gina?
I think that one of the things that we should consider is that people don't use the word ministry necessarily, but they're still performing a ministry, if you will. And they don't really talk about it. I remember the students in the Master of Public Health school at Morehouse School of Medicine. They saw a different idea when they saw Jesse's discovery about what it is that the leadership in the nation is supposed to be doing. And they responded, I feel like I'm free now.
Yeah.
Free to do what I'm doing and feel good about it. Feel like I am accomplishing something. And so I do think there's that big chasm between generations and how they refer to what it is that they're doing. But then when we look at the theological education in seminaries, there's some people who don't want to be bound by, well, let's just call it what it is, patriarchy, and the history of the doctrine of discovery and its ties to colonialism, and how people really view not being free. And that's odd because, you know, if you're studying Jesus in the seminary, then you're set free. He indeed is set free. So what is that, that unconscious tension that's there, Dr. Franklin?
Yeah, you said a lot, and a lot. What you just provided was, I think, a terrific diagnosis of an intellectual crisis, of how leaders develop voice and the intellectual capacity to understand the nature of love and how love shows up in a society, a diverse society, the nature of power and the nature of justice. Just to cite the title of a little book that Dr. Martin King used to carry with him in his briefcase. It's titled Love, Power, and Justice by one of his intellectual mentors, Paul Tillich, who was a German theologian. And I think that we all want to talk about justice. I mean, justice is in the first 50 words of the U.S. Constitution. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, do establish justice. And see, people often forget this. So the need for understanding the nature of justice, this nature of love, as Jesus practiced it and called us to be those who sacrifice even our own comfort and convenience for uplift of others, and the nature of power and how we steward, marshal, manage power. Those are the things we're teaching in the seminaries, and it's not happening quite the same way in law school, schools of public health, schools of business, technology, and so on. So again, I think that this crisis and CTS and its distress, matched by scores of great institutions around the nation, signals something important for the future of our democracy. Because as Jesse was saying earlier, the best and brightest in America in the 18th century, when they came together to form a more perfect union, far from perfect, and we talk about that all day and every week, but the fundamental ideas of what was possible in this nation were really quite remarkable and inspiring. And that is the work that happens in a good theological seminary. Mistrust of that process, mistrust that theological training for ministry may somehow steal your Jesus or compromise or diminish your spirituality, I think is misplaced. I think this certainly has happened, but you don't take these odd, extreme examples to be the reason for stepping back from something that has been so important in what we call the social gospel tradition. And of course, and I'll stop here, but the crisis facing the White House and its fight with the Vatican and the Pope today is symptomatic of the failure of American Christians to be properly taught and discipled in the way that you and Jesse are doing now.
You know, when I was at seminary, I know we have just about a minute before we come forward. I graduated from the seminary and ran right for office. And there's not a single day in the 17 years that I was in Congress, not a single one, where I did not see myself in ministry. I saw what I was doing as an extension of ministry.
Yeah.
I did not see myself as a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And people walk up to me every day or at some point in time over the course of a month and say he was a politician. I'm not a politician. I refused to be called I'm still not a politician.
Yeah.
Being a politician does not motivate me. But don't get me wrong, Dr. Franklin. I met many of them along the way.
Mm-hmm.
My passion is not that of a politician.
Mm-hmm.
Things that they compromise, I'm not willing to give up.
Yes.
This is at the core of my faith, what I believe. And politics was in a larger pulpit and a larger platform by which I could conduct my ministry without doing it on a corner somewhere or in a neighborhood somewhere in a single church. That is not to suggest that those who do that are not engaged in serious ministry either. I'm just defining it in my way. In a real sense, you can define almost any profession that you do well, like Dr. King said when he was quoting, I think, Tillich. Or one of those great poets, be the best street sweeper that you can be.
Yes.
That's ministry. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Robert Franklin when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Investigators are continuing to look into the deaths of former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax and his wife. Police believe Fairfax, who was Black, shot his wife before taking his own life at their Annandale home. Senator Mark Warner says he is both shocked and saddened.
I just can't imagine what his family's going through.
Authorities say the couple's teenage son called the police. President Trump has picked Dr. Erica Schwartz as his new nominee to lead the CDC. Schwartz, who is Black, previously served as Deputy Surgeon General in Trump's first administration and as a Rear Admiral in the Coast Guard. Trump called her incredibly talented and said she is a star. And Black singer and songwriter David, whose real name is David Burke, has been arrested in the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The teen was reported missing in 2024, and her remains were later found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to Burke. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect Black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, Black voices, Black power.
The heat is on
the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected, stay informed, stay loud.
Stand up!
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Can we just talk?
You've heard me say it before. How we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the J Lunch Club with Gina Towns and our very special guest, Dr. Robert Franklin, distinguished American theologian, author, and academic, currently serving as the James T. and Berta R. Laney Professor of Moral Leadership at Emory University's Candler Theological Seminary. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I have unmuted Dr. Franklin again. I think, Gina, welcome forward to the show.
All right, I'm going to have Dr. Franklin go out and come back.
In the meantime, I want to share with you for maybe 2 minutes what my process is, what I went through from Wednesday to the present. I think you'll find it interesting because I find it very consistent with the conversation that we're having, and it is this. So it's Wednesday, 2 days ago. I get a call from my younger brother, Yusuf Jackson, and he says, listen, man, I need you to do me a solid. I said, what's the solid, Yusuf? He said, listen, man, I got a family event at my son's school, and I won't be able to be speaking at Push this coming Saturday, and I'm hoping that you speak at Push for me this coming Saturday. And I said, well, I should share with you, Yusuf, that when you're in our Father's ministry, you're going to miss a lot of family events. That does come with the territory. So I said, hey, just give me a minute to think about it. And that minute to think about it for me always almost inevitably ends up in a yes, but I needed some time to wait for the Spirit to deliver to me what to say. So I went to the third book, or third chapter, if you will, of Exodus, and I thought about that part of the Exodus where Moses was talking to a burning bush, and the Spirit provided him with a rod that on an occasion he dropped and it turned into a snake. And according to the New International Version of the Bible, it chased Moses around until he picked it up and it became his rod again. And then I get a call back on yesterday, late yesterday. Well, what are you going to do, man? Are you going to speak for me? I said, yeah, man, the Spirit has spoken to me on what to talk about. And then he said, what's your topic? What's your subject matter? And can you do it in less than 17 minutes? And I said, well, Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address in 3.5 minutes, and Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the I Have a Dream speech in 13.5 minutes. I'm going to try and put it right there between Gettysburg and I Have a Dream for you. And I think I can make it. Then he said, well, what's your subject matter? I said, pick up your rod. Pick up your rod is what I want to talk about. Now, between today and tomorrow, I am going to arrive at, in my secular sacred space, that every time we drop our vote, Dr. Franklin, we drop the rod that God has given us, and it goes somewhere and it bites us. And when we pick up that rod, the rod that we've earned from 1619 through 1965 to the present, when we pick up that rod and we vote consciously, and with information, we are extending our rod to the Red Sea to part the waters in the direction of the promised land that we desire. No different than David picking up a rock and slaying the Philistine giant. We have tools available to us to stop empire. For me, that's bridging the gap, Dr. Franklin, between the sacred and the secular. Dr. Franklin?
No, I love the way you're describing the everyday acts of goodness and service and job provision, of wealth creation, the work that members of our community are doing right now that they might not ordinarily think of as ministry, as you and Gina have indicated. That in fact is what Jesus was calling and commissioning disciples to do. It was fundamentally about making everyday life better. And that's what moral leadership is all about. It's inviting people to become better versions of themselves. And it's using what's at hand. You don't have to go away to a school or a special training program. Use what is available there in your vicinity and put it in the service of lifting others as you climb, to put it the way Anna Julia Cooper did. So what you just said about the way you understood your political and public service is something that really needs to be shared on Capitol Hill and shared in the halls of power in governments throughout the nation. That they have been called, they have been elected, they have been commissioned to use the resources we have to improve people's lives. And so that's why I think, and why I love the Pope Leo's efforts now to promote peace. And it's essentially saying every Christian now is called to be a peacemaker and to put an end to needless war, harm, and violence. And that's what Jesse Jackson did when he went into difficult places, war-torn areas, speaking peace, speaking truth to power, releasing prisoners, engaging in forms of pardon that executives possess in the US and in other countries to essentially take executive action to correct the harmful effects of law too harshly applied. And that's the genius of the power of pardon. And that's a form of peacemaking. So that's the work we need to be doing in theological seminars and why we need you both in the classroom teaching. So glad you're on this public channel so that we can engage this knowledge and possibility.
Gina?
Dr. Franklin, I listen to you and I observe the news. I love Benjamin Franklin says that we must have a newspaper in one hand and a Bible in another. I mean, I look at it as a roadmap because people are thrown off when you have to say those 5 letters. So, when you talk about the opportunity to have peace, people are at peace when they feel healed. And think about the ministry of Jesus. And he spent a lot of time healing before he did anything else. Before he gave a word of instruction, he healed and he fed. And there is power in healing. And I think one of the things when we see what's going on in the news today, whether it is the people in Congress who are having to step down, our own president and members of that cabinet who are having to step down, having moral issues, having issues with the law, it damages faith. And so I think that we are a society right now that is reaching for faith, tearing at the hem of that particular garment, because without that faith, we lack hope. And so the way that we experience any of that is because we experience love first. And when we come when we come forward from that break, I would really like for you and Jesse to have a little bit of conversation about that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Robert Franklin and Gina Towns when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
58 years ago, a bullet tried to silence a dream. It couldn't. On April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was taken from us, not because he failed, but because he was winning the fight for a nation determined to live up to its promise. That fight didn't end then, and it can't end now. California is the most powerful state and the most powerful country on earth. Right now, too many people are being left behind, priced out of their homes, locked out of opportunity, told to wait for justice that's already long overdue. Dr. King didn't wait. He taught us the fierce urgency of now and acting. Now it's up to us to carry that same urgency today. We need leaders who will fight the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism. Not someday, now. On this anniversary, let's honor Dr. King the only way that truly counts, by doing the work. Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays on KBLA Talk 1580 with our creator, Gina Towns. Dr. Robert Franklin, in addition to his chair at Emory, he's the senior advisor to the Emory University President and a senior fellow at the Center for the Study of Law and Religion. He earned a PhD from the University of Chicago and is a prominent scholar in social ethics and theology. Known for his work on moral leadership, he has served as president of the Interdenominational Theological Seminary in Atlanta and was named to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2024. He's worked with U.S. presidents on initiatives such as One America and My Brother's Keeper, and he has written extensively on ethics and the role of the Black church in public life, including Crisis in the Village, Restoring Hope in African American Communities. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to Fat Meat Fridays and to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with Gina Towns.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful Friday in this country.
Dr. Franklin, this week we heard the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, begin a prayer by quoting Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson, and cited it as if it was a biblical scripture. It happened at the same time that the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, was challenging the pontiff, Pope, on what constitutes a just war, as if to set the Pope straight, as if the Pope doesn't have enough sense to know what constitutes a just or an unjust war. And all in the same week, we had Donald Trump post a picture of himself as the resurrected Christ. How far off the mark are they, Dr. Franklin?
We have witnessed really something quite remarkable in American political and religious history. That is to say, leaders of the most powerful nation on earth, and a nation that, despite its many shortcomings and contradictions, has struggled with the moral guidance and moral compass of especially marginal people like African Americans, the indigenous Native Americans, and other women and others. That nation has struggled to repair her faults and become a moral authority in the community of nations. I mean, after all, the United Nations is in New York City for a reason. It was founded here, and earlier US presidents and others wanted a forum for peacemaking, and America was the convener, the host. And now we've come to a time when a populist leader has been reelected and interprets that reelection as a mandate to dismantle American norms, to ignore American sacred texts as well as our political constitutional text, and is now, I think, he's really reached beyond his bounds, because he might get away with that in the United States. He selects a faith council led by what I would characterize as a somewhat marginal figure in terms of American evangelical faith, that noble tradition that noble way of interpreting the gospel to mean God cares about every person, and we are all sinners who fall short of God's grace and need mercy, need redemption. That's the authentic evangelical tradition. And it said that even slavery was a stain upon the gospel and upon a good nation. And so to now have a president who embraces and puts that kind of leader, Paula White specifically, over his faith council, and they begin to praise him as if he is somehow divine. And then he goes even further, and that's what makes this week so remarkable, to take on a person regarded as an authentic global moral leader in the person of Pope Leo. Is just, as many of his own followers have declared, this is blasphemous. It is a sacrilege. It is a disrespect of God, of Scripture, of the message and spirit of Jesus Christ. And we all have to say no to it. Even non-Christians are pushing back and objecting to this disrespect of the tradition. So I am hopeful. I am encouraged by the almost unilateral rejection of Trump's interpretation and application of this very flawed understanding of Christian identity.
You know, before the break, we were talking about these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And we talked about, we were touching upon healing, because we're in a place, and when you see the activities that are going on in our country and abroad, these are people that need healing. We all need a healing. People have lost their health care. They've lost food and their access and ability to have a meal for children. And that causes a parent to suffer. And so when we think about the power of healing, that really is a large task and a responsibility that comes with governing. And I was wondering, your thoughts on our legacy organizations, and certainly I appreciate that you're going to stay into the second hour with us and continue this conversation. But there was a place where we could go that provided a safe haven. It was a place where we felt loved, where we could continue the journey. It provided us with a level of faith that we could do this together. And in the words of Reverend Jackson, we could keep hope alive. And so things intertwined with one another, and their absence right now certainly is very glaring. And sometimes I wonder if people even know what they need. How can we pull on our legacy organizations?
Yeah, we need them to really stand up, reintroduce themselves to the world. Many people don't know their stories, the extraordinary role of institutions, and to sort of invite the younger generation in. At the end of the day, justice for me is three words: restoring right relationships. And that's what we need our institutions to do: colleges, civil rights organizations, hospitals, etc.
Stay with us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Dr. Robert Franklin, Bobby Lewis, and our creator, Gina Towns.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Investigators are continuing to look into the deaths of former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax and his wife. Police believe Fairfax, who was black, shot his wife before taking his own life at their Annandale home. Senator Mark Warner says he is both shocked and saddened.
I just can't imagine what his family's going through.
Authorities say the couple's teenage son called the police. President Trump has picked Dr. Erica Schwartz as his new nominee to lead the CDC. Schwartz, who is black, previously served as Deputy Surgeon General in Trump's first administration and as a Rear Admiral in the Coast Guard. Trump called her incredibly talented and said she is a star. And black singer and songwriter David, whose real name is David Burke, has been arrested in the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The teen was reported missing in 2024, and her remains were later found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to Burke. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the J Lunch Club. If you're on the 405, the 101, the 10, the 5, the 110, the 118, and you're not playing Johnny Kemp, I just got paid, or thank God it's Friday, then you're probably not on your way home, but on your way to happy hour. Certainly where I would be if I were on the 405 or the 101. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is none other than Dr. Robert Franklin, distinguished American theologian, author, and academic. He is a major force in moral theology in the United States, and certainly recognized by Candler Theological Seminary as a professor, a noted expert on ethical leadership, the Black church, and social ethics. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And our creator, Gina Towns, the executive producer of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Gina co-produced the Emmy Award-nominated documentary Hampton University, One of the Wonders of the World, and as a songwriter, co-producer, and performer, her single Yes hit number 26 on the Bullet on Billboard's charts. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, Jesse.
How are you? How are you? I'm doing great. I have some questions for Dr. Franklin, who's lived enough decades now to have seen all of our civil rights organizations in the modern era, save for the organizations that came into existence at the beginning of the Jim Crow period. And I'm wondering, Dr. Franklin, whether or not the present structure of our organizations, including our church structure, but I want to put the church aside for a moment. Let's talk about the organizations: NAACP, Urban League, Rainbow Push, National Action Network, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, save for the constitutional law societies that we have. Are our organizations tooled for this time, or are they relics of a period post 64 Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, post Civil Rights Movement, while at this hour, our Constitution and the faith that people have in the Constitution itself is actually on the ballot in the midterms and in 2028. Dr. Franklin, are our organizations ready?
Profound question that you're raising, and I think it's a mission question. I hope board members who serve on the legacy institutions I hope leaders, members who pay dues, people who have influence will capture precisely what you're pointing to, because I think there's been what I would characterize as a loss of moral literacy in many of these organizations. You go back to their beginnings, as you said, from NAACP to Urban League to the Divine Nine organizations. Many of them emerged and became strong because the church had been the big tent. It was the big tent of the 19th century. And stepping into the 20th century, isn't it interesting that the most influential leader in the African American community in 1900, the turn of a new century, was not a preacher. It was Booker T. Washington. And he was an interesting kind of moral, quasi-moral, spiritual leader, but he was leading and building an institution, the wonderful Tuskegee Institute, 1881. Same year Spelman College and Morris Brown College were founded. So he's building this national institution. He has the ear of the wealthiest people in America. He dines with the President of the United States in 1901, Theodore Roosevelt. That created a major national scandal. But I would argue it's interesting for me, as a former, president of Morehouse, that the most influential Black leader at the turn of the 20th century was an HBCU president, was a leader of an organization that was founded to create, to nurture cognitive and character development, but also technical skill development, what he called famously a gospel of the hand, the head, and the heart. The indictment is that the churches, those great denominations, we love them all, they were big tents, and they began to shrink their moral focus. They began to expel people and set up norms and rules where certain people would not be allowed or welcomed or loved. And people wanted to be loved. They wanted a community. So they sought in other places. So civil rights groups, HBCUs, the Divine Nine, other guild organizations, National, Bar Association and Medical Association, and so on. Now the challenge is, can they speak to the critical needs for meaning, for love, for healing, for restoring what is broken? Families broken, relationships broken, individual egos broken. Who has the literacy, the capacity to talk about that in a compelling way, rather than simply indicting the bad that we all see all around us, or urging us to fight harder? Absolutely important, but we got to talk healing, love, and restoration as well.
I want to follow up on that. I know Gina's going to, of course you can.
Yeah, I want to just offer this because Booker T. Washington, as a young man, walked to Hampton University first, where he received his education.
Yes.
And it was General Samuel Chapman Armstrong, who was in the Northern Army, who believed that the Indians, the Native Americans, and the former slaves should be educated. And he took this to task, he took it to heart. And so there's a form of love that comes, and it comes from the military.
Yeah.
It comes from the person who is in the military. And I think that's very interesting because then Booker T. Washington, after he was trained, was sent to Tuskegee to start that institution. And we can see the pattern in how each one teach one, and multiply, that then multiplies people's faith and gives them hope.
Wow, I'm so glad you shared that. Many people don't know that powerful. And Hampton provided the soil from which, Tuskegee and many other institutions were blessed, including Howard and Atlanta University, because Du Bois and others were saying, what Booker T is doing is important for all of us. So help him, follow his lead.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. An insightful question from Gina Towns to Dr. Robert Franklin on institution building. I posited a thesis at the opening of the segment as to whether or not our legacy organizations are prepared for the modern era given the threats to our democracy? We're going to stay on that line of questioning when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More with Robert Franklin and Gina Towns when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, and our very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Robert M. Franklin. He serves as the James T. and Berta R. Laney Professor in Moral Leadership at Emory University's Candler School of Theology. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And with Dr. Franklin, we have another. Dr. Franklin, can you hear me? Well, I wanted to raise the question, which requires a moment of reflection on the prism, the lens by which we view the expectations of our leadership. I can only imagine in 1850s, and if you will take a mental flight with me back to the 1850s, that Frederick Douglass had to be asking himself, after he saw the states use the Constitution as the basis for leaving the Union, they found moral and political legitimacy in seceding from the Union, just as Abraham Lincoln and the northern states found moral and political legitimacy in saying you do not have the right to leave the Union. and we're going to come down here with our troops and put you back, your stars back on this flag. I'm thinking that Frederick Douglass had to say to himself, this is a profound constitutional crisis when both sides are reading the same document, the same constitution, but they find from their perspectives moral and political legitimacy in their arguments to the point of dissolution of the Union. So at some point in time, even though I can't find it in any of Frederick Douglass's writing, he has to be asking himself this of Lincoln. How do you restore faith in the Constitution? How do you get 2/3 of the then Congress and 3/4 of the states to amend the Constitution of the United States that settles the question on both sides with explicit language in the Constitution that 1, slavery should be illegal, 2, that the nation deserves equal protection of the laws, the 14th Amendment, and that Black men, colored men, deserve the right to vote with the 15th Amendment. Frederick Douglass had to be scratching his head and his behind at the same time when he presented himself that question, that moral legitimacy was found by the Confederacy and moral and political legitimacy was found by the northern states in their desire to keep the Union together. But ultimately, it would take presidential moral character and leadership to advance expanding the Constitution's interpretation to explicit language that both sides had to rally behind and ultimately agree on for the nation to move forward. Now, the same prism I put on Martin Luther King Jr. when he looks at Lyndon Johnson. And all Dr. King has to say to Lyndon Johnson is that the 14th Amendment guaranteed us citizenship rights, but it has taken 95 years for Congress to act. In other words, the prism by which Dr. King viewed the Constitution was different than the prism that had been given to Frederick Douglass, because the Constitution itself was in jeopardy at that hour. But Dr. King saw a legislative solution with a 64 Civil Rights Act, the implementation of the 15th Amendment with a Voting Rights Act of 1965, and subsequent public accommodations legislation, which are the citizenship rights that Congress never got around to. And so as we sit here in the middle of this constitutional crisis, and I think about Dr. Franklin and his moral leadership, and we talk about the structuring of organizations, are we looking for an organization that can build upon Dr. King's work with more legislation, which the Trump era has shown us that they can throw out at a moment's notice? Or are we looking at the kind of fundamental change that Frederick Douglass, when he looked at the Constitution and said, this Constitution is not fixing our schools, it's not fixing our health care, it's not cleaning up our environment, it is not treating women with equality? Are we looking at it through the prism of the problem in front of us, or are we looking at it organizationally and the structure of our organizations as short-term legislative victories that are measured by midterm elections and presidential elections? And I think that that is a very, very dangerous course. Dr. Franklin?
Wow, you again have set the table with such a complex set of variables that we're all struggling with today. What is the way forward? That's the question of Dr. King's final book in 1968, as you both know. The title was, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? And I love your juxtaposition of that 19th century history with Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. So that was an African-American leader meeting with the President of the United States at the White House, and Frederick Douglass. Happens again later with Booker T and Theodore Roosevelt, and that becomes a national scandal to allow a Black man to dine there, because Douglass never dined at the White House, but he met. And then, of course, these series of meetings of Lyndon Johnson, Martin King, and Andy Young, and others. Of course, I'm here in Atlanta with Andy, and Ambassador Andrew Young. I should show proper respect. He's my friend, but he talked about the meeting with President Johnson, in which Johnson said, there are certain things I cannot do. I mean, I have some power, but I need, you all have to help me. I have to create pressure on government. And this clear delineation between political power and moral power. And Andy Young came out of there and said, well, Aunt Martin, the president just told us we have to go and get the president some power. And I think that's a message, a signal to all movement leaders today. We have power. I love the No Kings March. That's a form of power. It's movement power. It's the power of the people. And it is different from institutional power because institutions exist to embody the values of an organization or a society and to sustain those values over time. That's the role. And sometimes when institutions drift from their fundamental mission, they often go into decline. We've talked about what's happening with theological seminaries. People no longer feel they're urgently needed, and so we walk with our feet and our wallets. We don't support them. Sometimes we have to revert to movement in order to read the pulse, hear the people. Where should we go from here? Dr. King's question. So I think that's the crisis for us now. But I'll just add this one sentence. The African-American community emerged free in this nation, free but fragmented. Free but fragmented. And our institutions sought to heal and unite, tie us back together, reunite families, reunite churches, etc. Where is that agenda going from here now? And I think that's the real question before us.
Gina?
You know, one thing that stuck out to me as you were talking, Martin Luther King, Jesse talked about Frederick Douglass. I brought up General Samuel Chapman Armstrong, white officer in the Union Army. All of these people had a basic premise, and that was, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in this government. And for King and Douglas, they had to take a step further to say, this belongs to me. This belongs to me too. Sometimes we get caught up, I think, and how do we get people to believe again that this belongs to them, that it's worth fighting for?
Yes, yes. I think that this is such an important question and process, social process for society. Believe in this language in the Constitution, because your ancestors, our ancestors, fought and bled and died for that language. That's the legacy, the living faith. I love a Yale University professor of church history, Yaroslav Pelikan, used to say, tradition is the living faith of the dead, the living faith of the dead. Traditionalism is the dead faith of the living. Traditionalism, we go through the motions, but nobody gets set free, which happens in many of our churches these days. And I think we need to reintroduce, that's why I mean, this show, you all are talking about serious people and texts and readings, the homework we need to do to revive our democracy and to rediscover that our people wanted and crafted and created the conditions for the US Constitution and its process of healing and amendments being added. So we should fight for them. They belong to us. People say, you know, where do you come from? Well, our people here since 1619, when many other immigrants who came in the 19th century were not here yet. So it is a contested, but we have ownership.
Would you say that you have to have a little pain? Because comfort breeds a certain contempt.
Martin King said, he said, you know, suffering can be redemptive. And he had a whole, I heard Reverend Jesse Jackson talk about the redemptive power of suffering, and that the pain that we endure may purchase authority and authenticity and legitimacy. So King was stabbed, King was spat upon. Many of us will experience discomfort, embarrassments, challenges. Don't feel bad. Hemingway said, life breaks all of us, but some of us are made strong in the broken places.
In the broken places. Yes, he did. Hemingway said that, and so did Max Cleland. Senator Max Cleland said that adversity is something that we have to live with, but after adversity, we emerge stronger in the broken places. Yes. That a new hope can be found in the broken places. And indeed, it's quite Hegelian, because it's hard to imagine that in a broken place, from a broken place can emerge strength. But I've talked to an orthopedic surgeon who said that if you break your arm in one place, to allow it to heal correctly, he cannot promise you that you will not break it in another. But he can almost guarantee you will not break it in the same place you broke it the last time, because it will be stronger in the broken place. Gina Towns?
So that broken place, because I really do feel like in my lifetime, I've never seen, we've been at war. I've never seen it like this, though. We have had leaders who had things to be desired. But at the same time, we see not just the war, but we see the fight for democracy or fascism around the world. We see people shooting their wives. This very unfortunate circumstance in Virginia with the governor and a murder-suicide. And so there's every kind of divisiveness, every kind of illness, if you will. And I know we talked about healing a little bit in the last hour. How do we grapple with the fact that we have an administration who has us in so many things, with people struggling and suffering in so many ways, but yet quote scripture at the same time? I think it's very confusing for people who have not come to faith, who are not able to divide God, if that's what we're talking about, or to divide the words in the Constitution. How do we bring that together for people, Dr. Franklin?
Yeah, I just think honest talk about our pain is an important starting point, because it mobilizes the resources for reorganizing, for recovery. And we can do this. We have the hope, but we've got to transform and transcend the despair that currently surrounds us.
Tell me about that. That's a very serious thing, to transform despair.
Yeah. And again, it's word, it's deed, it's touch, the power of touch. It's song and sound and audio, it's image, and these multiple ways of responding to the fragmentation and brokenness people are experiencing. Another big one, and I hope maybe you've talked about it before, in the future, you need to focus on this thing that we call moral injury. When people are ordered to do things that violate their moral code by people of authority, and that's soldiers returning from war, it's police officers, it's ICE officers. Many of them are now experiencing moral injury.
Moral injury might be the reason we're feeling some type of way until you just coined, Dr. Franklin. We don't know why we're feeling some type of way. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz is open. Am I supposed to feel good about that? I mean, if the Strait of Hormuz means that the genocides will continue, if the Strait of Hormuz means the expansion of Israel beyond her borders and no two-state solution for the Palestinians, I feel some type of way about that. I mean, I feel that my moral compass is injured. And I have not had a term to refer to it as, but that's exactly what it feels like, moral injury. And it doesn't feel like there's very much I can do about it. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and our very special guest, Robert M. Franklin. More right here on KBLA 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Chicago Teachers Union wants Chicago Public Schools to cancel classes on May 1st so families can join May Day protest against President Trump's policies.
I'm going to make sure that people remain engaged and that all of the city departments and agencies participate to ensure that there's a strong plan for parents and families.
Black Mayor Brandon Johnson says May 1st is happening, but CPS says schools will stay open unless the school board votes to change the calendar. Black Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is using emergency powers to bring back D.C.'s limited youth curfew. The order lasts 15 days and sets curfew at 11 p.m. for anyone 17 and younger. And Detroit's Black Mayor Mary Sheffield and Police Chief Todd Bettison have rolled out a 6-point summer public safety plan. Sheffield says it focuses on neighborhood safety, youth engagement, and conflict resolution. The plan follows recent teen takeovers downtown. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Can we just talk?
You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
You're listening to the J Lunch Club. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is Dr. Robert M. Franklin, known for his work on moral leadership. He has served as president of Interdenominational Theological Seminary in Atlanta and was named to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2025. Our regular contributing host and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns, joins us for the remainder of the hour. And Dr. Franklin, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In 1967, almost a year to the date of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King gave a speech titled Beyond Vietnam, and he was essentially positing the thesis, why should we care about the bombing of peasants in Vietnam? Why should I? And this is rhetorical. Of course I care. So those of you who are going and prepared to misinterpret what I say anyway, just do what you got to do. Why should I care about a genocide in Palestine? Why should I care about a school being bombed in Iran with young girls in it? Why should I care about the behavior of the U.S. military and Pete Hegseth quoting Pulp Fiction? Why should I care? How would Dr. King, from your perspective, answer the question? And I gather, similarly to the way he did in 1967, why should we care? Help us understand the power that we have to care in the present and how we can change this dynamic. Dr. Franklin?
Yeah, the basic message that I think animated and drove Dr. King's leadership and his theology was centered around the principle of interdependence, that we are all connected. He said as much in a wonderful chapter in his final book titled The World House. And many contemporary leaders have embraced this notion of the world house. I know you've had guests like Johnny Mack and Claiborne Carson and Walter Fluker and others who have worked on this notion of world house. It says that we are all connected. And if it happens, evil happens over there, it could also someday catch up and happen here. That's why we have to say no wherever we find unjust suffering, unjust policy being practiced against defenseless people. And even in the concept of just war, one of the reasons we can defend going into a war is self-defense, of course, but also protecting a weaker party. That's the basis for for some theories of just war. And so we are interconnected. Injustice anywhere, King said, is a threat to justice everywhere. And, you know, as you know very well, that speech in April of '67 really, for many people, burned the bridge between King and the civil rights movement. They wanted him to remain focused on a race-specific, race-based social movement. And such movements have value, but I think King was really growing and transcending and saying, I have a larger agenda to serve. You all keep doing that work, but I'm going to do that, and I'm going to expand our horizons. And he grew into this international peace leader. And of course, he did have the blessings of a 1964 Nobel Peace Prize to accompany him, something that other leaders have not yet earned.
Gina, what do you make of the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States lecturing the Pope, in the case of J.D. Vance, a just war, as if the Pope doesn't understand what a just war is, and the President of the United States tit for tat tweeting and Instagramming and using social media to condemn the Holy Father?
Well, first of all, I think that Trump is intimidated by anyone who can use more than a 3-syllable word. He only has 3 words in his vocabulary, and none of them are 3 syllables. So that's number one. But I saw an article, I saw a headline the other day that said the 2 most powerful men in the world spar. And I think that's something for Trump. And the fact that the Pope is American and that he is from, let's say it all together now, Chicago.
Dalton.
We love New York. I'd be with him if he was, you know, one of those places. But we are talking about a certain flavor that the Pope has grown up with, what he knows. He's probably very nonsensical. And so even as I was sitting here now, Jesse, and, you know, to answer your question with them sparring, the Pope is not intimidated by him, but he will hold his decorum. He will be holy as he deals with President Trump. But when you look at these headlines and you see that the Republicans have unraveled in passing legislation today, they have a rebellion going on in the Republican Party right now. And I think that this tit for tat with the Pope is one thing that will separate people who already were having a problem with their conscience in supporting some of the things that they're doing. And another headline is that Trump says, you know, we're going to take our time getting the uranium out of Iran. Huh? I thought we were at war. What are you doing? Why are you even there? And so as things get uncovered, I think that people are going to have their eyes opened and hopefully step forward. And I think that the tit for tat with the Pope is the Pope for such a time as this.
Yes, amen. Amen. Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, you know, since we are on KBLA, we want to keep the news going, but we also want to laugh on Friday because we're having a serious conversation here. But if you get a chance to go and watch Saturday Night Live or one of these nighttime shows, they had the Pope doing Kendrick Lamar toward the president. He not like us.
Oh, I love it.
He not like us. He not like us. I mean, just common decency. He not like us.
Well, it is a clash of 2 systems, 2 ways of being in the world. And I think even Trump's followers are finding he has no hope, no love, no joy to offer me. He is my anger and my retribution, but that's kind of played itself out by now. And many of them have felt, okay, he owns the libs, the liberals now. So what else you got? And he has nothing more. And so that's played out. And I have to say the Pope, you know, he learned his politics and his love and joy of life in Chicago. And we share that territory. We were on campus at the same time in 1978. And I didn't know him, but we were in a seminar together. But we're going to get through this, and that's the hope that he reminds us of.
I know we have just a few seconds before we come forward, and maybe we can talk about it in the next segment before your word of hope, Dr. Franklin. But in this moment, after listening to you and Gina speak about this subject matter, what we have historically perceived, at least since the advent of the MAGA movement, was a cult of personality, a cult of. But this attack by the president on the Pope may have opened up a window into the moral consciousness of MAGA, and hence revealed a division between evangelicals and those who do struggle with deeper and heavier questions, which might lay the foundation for an opportunity for us to appeal to them, as Dr. King would have, but by embracing the Pope and driving home the Pope's message and using him as the figure to get it done. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Gina Towns and Dr. Robert Franklin when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays, the J Lunch Club with Gina Towns and our very special guest, Dr. Robert Franklin. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to our show.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Franklin, just before the break, in this moment, I'm thinking that MAGA has shown a crack, maybe an opportunity, but certainly a crack in their cultish kind of moral consciousness, which has been 1,000% backing Donald Trump. But this tit for tat with the Pope is revealing something, and their response to it. Hence, I would imagine that Martin Luther King Jr. and other moral leadership might see a Birmingham jail moment of a letter to evangelical Christians. How much more of this can we take?
Yes.
Talk to me, Dr. Franklin.
Well, as you talk, you make me think about two things. One, Martin Luther King once said that cowardice asks, is it safe? Whatever policy or practice you have. Expediency asks, is it politic? Vanity asks, is it popular? But conscience asks, is it right? And there comes a time when you have to decide against, not because something is popular or safe or politic, but you must do it because it's right. And I think you're speaking to the voice, the quiet, still voice of conscience that still lives in many of these MAGA adherents who feel maybe we've seen the law of diminishing returns now set in. This man is no longer worthy of our trust and our loyalty and devotion. We want something more, something different, maybe even something better for our nation. We don't want to be at war with everyone. We don't want to hate people. And what a mismatch to have that kind of president and secretary of defense or war at a time when people are just exhausted. They want to heal. They want to recover. They want the old time ways of just a few years ago. Stability. So the newer leadership coming on the scene and you both are part of that cast of redemptive characters, will bring stability and healing and meaning and deep connection. That's what people are asking for. He's lost it. He is experiencing a crisis of legitimacy, and he doesn't know what to do. He's panicking.
You know, I just before I turn it over to Gina and for your final word of hope, Dr. Franklin, I've always believed that Christianity was a thinking person's religion. There's just no way around it. If that's the dividing line in amongst Christians, it is that. The end does not justify the means. And that's exactly the way the MAGA evangelical is present. Whatever they can do to get to the end, that's okay. But for those of us who believe differently, Dr. King believed that the end was pre-existent in the means. Therefore, we had to give it some thought. How we were going to treat our neighbor, how we were going to love them is a factor in the process. And we don't get to skip over it just because we want natural resources and oil. We don't just get to skip over it. We actually have to pay it some attention. Gina, we have about 4 minutes before we go. Some final thoughts, and then Dr. Franklin's last word of hope.
I love what you said right there. I love it because the truth of the matter is when we learned who was elected at the conclave, there was a part of us that went, yeah, now he's going to get the Pope is going to get him. Somebody's going to fight for me. I mean, you almost wanted him to step out of pontiffism and credit him. But he's done it in such a dignified way. And I would say for people who are listening, if you didn't get a chance to hear the Secretary of the Department of War at the press conference yesterday, as he admonished the press and called them Pharisees, you really want to go and listen. It was almost a comical moment as well, so that there's some points of levity in the news as well, because you know that this can't be always. History shows us such that people come and go. And that we can turn you know what, we can turn it around. Some days I think that all of us feel like this is not going to turn out well. I do think, and I hope that our listeners had that epiphany with me just now.
Dr. Franklin, can you out on a word of hope?
Eloquent and powerful. You know, Dr. King reminded us that the arc of the moral universe is long and it bends toward justice. So what goes around will come around. And this president and this Secretary of War, in their arrogance, they will be humbled. God will not be mocked. Justice will come. And so my word to your listeners and to all of us, let's endure with hope, with joy, but also let's resist in the meantime. And that means showing up for each other, keeping hope alive, remembering the classics of our moral parents, reading what we need to read to bring those voices alive, like Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. And so we can make it through this difficult time.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Gina, Dr. Franklin has been with us.
I appreciate Dr. Franklin. And I feel like I can hold on. I'm yet holding on, Dr. Franklin. Thank you so much.
I hope everybody listens to your show, because you talk about Hegel and some great stuff, man.
I appreciate you. It's been an amazing 2 hours, and we can't thank Dr. Robert Franklin for giving us both of these hours on an extraordinary week. So much taking place in the world. We'll be processing it throughout the weekend. We pay attention to all of the news stations throughout the weekend, and we'll be bringing you some amazing shows next week, and I can't wait for them to come. They can't come fast enough. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We've been listening to Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest has been none other than the esteemed professor of the James T. and Berta R. Laney Professor of Moral Leadership at Emory University at Candler Theological Seminary in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show here on KBLA Talk 1580. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now.